Well, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Today on the table in front of us is a knife that, well, it's funky. There's some stuff going on here that isn't usually my taste, but we'll get to that in a second. So what is this? This is the SOG Kiku Assisted. It is a long, lean version of one of their knives that uses the Kiku style blade. Of course, this is the Kiku XR from last year. This is and remains one of my favorite knives of the last year and of all time. I love this thing, right? I love the blade shape, all that compound grind and the interesting work. I love the micarta scales, and of course I love SOG's XR lock. However, I was perusing their website and discovered that sometime towards the end of 2020, they released this. And because I'm so in love with its brother over there, I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger. Now, this one, sorry, this is CTS XHP steel. It has their XR lock, so on and so forth, right? This is S35VN. And that same Kiku, amazing compound grind. It is a recurve. Some of you aren't going to love that, but it is very stabby, if that's your kind of thing. It has a nice long lean handle. It is steel liners. It has that same or very similar gorgeous micarta that's on the Kiku XR. It is a button lock that is assisted. I know. I mean, it's right in the name. And I can hear some of you groan, and I don't blame you. I don't love assisted knives anymore. I used to. But it's not a deal breaker for me, right? I am sort of fascinated with the fact that sticking up through this micarta, there is this interesting little button, and it does mean you can open and close it one-handed, right? Particularly if you have big hands like mine. The knife itself is, well, really well done. Last year, the rise of the improved SOG was one of my favorite things about the entire year, and this knife fits into that. It is very SOG-like in its design. It actually has a lock right here underneath the scale on this side, which I will never use. It is very SOG-like in its design, very pokey stabby, very tactical in its orientation, and yet really well done. The micarta is milled in such a way as to give you fantastic grip. The handle itself is very, very comfortable. The pocket clip, well, much like its brother here, it's got this one just sort of says SOG on it, right? This actually has an older style SOG clip. Let me see if I can get that to actually show up. There we go. Where it says SOG in big letters. Not my favorite thing in the world. Now, the one thing this does have that weirds me out a little bit is, man, they went all in on deep carry. That thing sticks up past the end of the knife. This absolutely disappears in the pocket. And if it didn't yell SOG at you from outside your pocket, it would be really subtle, but SOG. Okay. The pocket clip is reversible, right, to the other side. But because it is a right-hand button lock, you'd probably still get away with it using it left-handed. But it is mostly a right-hand tip-up knife. Let's go ahead and get some size comparisons out of the way, just for fun. Now, I'm going to do this one just because it's on the table already. Here it is against the Kiku XR. If we line up the pivots, you can see that it is longer, but much, much leaner. And the micarta is a little greener, I've noticed, which is very cool. This is a little more brown to it. Here it is against the Ritter Hogue. Many of you know this design as the Griptilian, a full-size Griptilian, but this is the Ritter Hogue. These knives are very similar in length, but wildly different in design, as you can see. Here it is against the Mini Presidio 2, which is similar in size to the Bug Out. So this helps you understand, I think, where this thing falls in size. And of course, here it is against the full-size Presidio 2. God, I love this knife. Presidio 2 is longer in handle by quite a bit, but very, very similar in cutting area, right? The SOG Kiku Assisted, speaking of its actual dimension, let's go ahead and line that up. You get 1, 2, 3.5 inches of cutting on a little over 3.5 inches of S35VN. The grip area from behind this swell You get 1, 2, 3, 4 full inches. Well, 3 3/4 inches of grip, but all the way back here, it's 4 full inches of grip, which in a hand like mine means there's actually knife sticking out the end, which is really nice. The overall knife, from tip to tail, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you come out to the end of pocket clip, it's a little over 8 1/4. I don't know. The pocket clip is funky. You're not going to lie. I'm not going to lie about it. It's weird. But hey, let's look at this blade. I love a good compound grind. I'm a fan of S35VN. I know that it has fallen out of favor. The knife industry is notoriously fickle. Things that are really enjoyed one day are sort of frowned upon the next. I love S35VN because it holds an edge just the way I want it to, which means it's not chippy and brittle. It's not hard to sharpen. I mean, it's harder to sharpen than, say, VG10 or some of the softer steels, but it holds an edge long, well, for me at least, just the right amount of time. I've had this thing out long enough now to do some of my basic work. And again, for me, that is cutting some old seatbelt material that I have and paracord, cardboard. I'm not sure what that was, but hey, okay. Paracord and other materials. And a lot of people don't like, recurves. And I understand why. They are harder to keep sharp. But I'll tell you when I've learned to appreciate it. When you are doing long cuts, a good recurve helps keep the material that you're cutting, the medium that you're cutting, centered on the blade. So if you're doing push cuts through cardboard, you don't have to keep rocking the knife. It stays right where you want it to. That's enough for me. I have a decent little rod system, and mostly I just end up stropping these things. I don't ever work them so hard that they're flat out dull. At least it hasn't happened yet. And so just a little, stropping keeps this thing nice and sharp, or will. I love this design, and I know some of you aren't. I could hear it already. But that's okay. The nice thing about knives, and I say this all the time, not only in my reviews, but in the comment section when people talk to me about it, is the wonderful thing about knives is there's something for everyone, and no one is wrong. Right? If you just want this, excellent work knife, good materials, not whatever so far, that's awesome. If that's not your style, you get something like this. If that's not your style, you get something funky like that. The point is that I recognize that the SOG Kiku Assisted here is not really going to be for everybody, but it is for me. It really, really is. So let's go ahead and weigh it. It is a heavier knife, at least it feels heavier in my hand. Let's go ahead and zero this out. We'll start on ounces. It is 5.6 ounces, which is kind of heavy for a knife that's this lean, but it does have nice thick steel liners, and of course my card is sort of heavy, and it has a decent sized blade, so it doesn't surprise me. Let's go ahead and change that to grams. 159 grams. So it is not an insignificant knife in pocket, but you do get, that was awesome. I'm telling you, I love this blade. I really do. Let's do the other bit here that we do. Oh, excuse me. I'll tell you, I am still getting used to things being back after my my isolation. All right, so the blade starts lean. It is under 3 millimeters, which means when it finally comes down to the end of this hollow grind, it is very slicey. Now the tip is a little more robust, which is the way you'd want it, the way I want it at least. And I imagine that's because there is some assumption that you might do some reverse hammer grip use with this knife. I don't know, I'm not going to, but you might. And if you were interested, this would be a good knife for it. The handle is a little thick, but that gives it a really nice grip. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. At its thickest, it is 15 millimeters or just over a ½ inch. So this does eat up a little pocket space this way. You definitely know you're carrying it. But again, this deep carry clip, which I very much wish didn't yell SOG like that, but it does, means this thing drops down into the pocket and just sort of disappears. I mean, let's see if I've got something we can use. I'm organized, I swear. Don't judge me. All right. I mean, as you can see, there's no knife showing at all. It's just gone. So anyway, that is this. And this is the SOG Kiku Assisted. I know, again, not for everyone, but it absolutely is for me. I really enjoy this thing, and I'm looking forward to carrying it along with its Kiku XR brother and all of the SOGs that I have picked up over the last year. And based on their website, some really cool stuff coming from SOG for 2021. So keep your eyes open for that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This has been the assisted SOG Kiku. I have been a Therapeutic Edge. You have been my amazing audience. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.